wake up, it's time to be free. Wake up, was blind, now I see. Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Welcome. It's Jullien Gordon with another episode of the Daily Jewels, where I drop nuggets of wisdom that help you increase your degrees of freedom. I don't care how many college degrees you have. The only degree that really matters is your degree of freedom. I don't care how much money you make. What really matters is how you actually make money. So I got another real estate question today. And this question was, how do you actually manage a real estate investment partnership? I've been part of partnerships that I've invested in, and I've actually created partnerships with some of my friends. And so I want to share with you how we think about those partnerships. There is a standard agreement that is written up by a lawyer. Typically what happens is the person who is managing the partnership gets like some sort of percentage off the top. And then based on what you pay in, you get a percentage of the, let's say, the remaining 95%, right? So if you put in, let's say the investment is $1 million and you put in 100,000, you're going to have probably like a 9.5% stake in the upside, because they are taking this 5% for actually managing and organizing everything and doing all the work while you are waiting passively, right, for this investment to return. They're doing all the groundwork. So that's where their extra percentage comes in. Usually they're also an investor in the deal as well. I mean, they have skin in the game. Sometimes they're not. I typically won't invest with somebody who doesn't have like skin in the game, equal skin in the game. And the partnership that I did invest in, this person actually had the leading amount of skin in the game. So that means he had the most to lose as well. So this new partnership that I established with one of my friends to get the home in Oakland, we started out with a Google Doc. He actually is a lawyer, but not a real estate lawyer. We created a Google Doc, and we just laid out all these scenarios that could happen and how decisions were going to get made. So I actually have it open here, and I'm going to share with you some the things. In this agreement, we laid out how the financing was going to work, right? How much the mortgage was going to be, how much we paid, what the interest rate was. We laid out the ownership stake, and in this case, it's a 50-50 ownership. We laid out what the down payment would be, and that both parties would contribute equally. We laid out how monthly expenses were going to be paid, whether we're going to pay from our individual accounts, whether it's going to be a joint account that we established, and all of monthly expenses would automatically be paid from that joint account. We also talked about what to do with cash flow and profits, when we could actually pull from that profits. Like once it reached a certain level, like let's say there's 20,000 in that account, can we actually take owner's draws once we have some sort of like base that covers a certain amount of months of mortgage? So we laid out those kind of scenarios. We also laid out scenarios if someone for whatever reason couldn't make their contribution, what that actually does to the equity percentages. We laid out how we handle repairs and maintenance, meaning that we don't just take the first bid. We actually go find 3 different bids for a plumber until we find one that we trust, and we select that way. So how we actually decide on contractors and because let's say somebody has some high-end taste and one person wants marble and one person just wants basic enough for the tenants, you have to have a decision-making process for how you come to agreement and alignment on those kind of things. Same thing with improvement and upgrades. How does that decision making process get made? One person wants to redo the entire basement, and the other person's like, we don't need to do that. How do you come to a resolution around that? We also laid out home equity loans and refinancing, right? Some people, one person may have a timeline where their kids are going to college and they need to pull equity from the house. And the other person's like, I don't need to pull equity right now, and I don't want to, because that's going to do this to our investment. And you have to lay out the criteria for how that decision gets made and how it actually works. You also have to lay out the exit strategy, which is the sale of the home. At what price point are you willing to both sell the home, and how is that going to happen? How are you going to prepare the home to maximize the potential upside? You also have to discuss how tenants are going to get chosen. right? What's going to be your process for choosing the quality tenants? One person may like a tenant and the other person may not. How do you actually navigate that conversation, right? You also have to lay out beneficiaries. If one person were to transition or die for whatever reason, who is actually going to get the other person's stake and what happens? Does that person get to buy out the other family, or does that person get to buy out the other family, or does the family, how does all that work, right? So, and what if that person doesn't have money to buy out the other partner just because they died? What happens in that case, right? And where this person who died still has equity in the home that they've accrued. Property management, how that person is chosen, and then where any kind of court cases would take place. Let's say this person lives in Georgia, you live in New York, and the home is in New Orleans, right? Where does any litigation that might have to happen, where does that take place? So there's a lot of different criteria that you have to think through. You want to think through every single scenario and you want to document it. And it's not going to be a perfect document. You could probably find templates online as well. But we wanted something that was, we borrowed from those templates, but we designed something that was unique to us based on how we wanted to operate. And yeah, this is how I think about it. Again, I'm not a real estate expert. A real estate expert who's been in the game for 2 decades may tell you something different, but for where I'm at, this contract that we established was good enough for me, and this is how I navigate partnerships. Now, that's the only piece of property that I have a full partnership on. The other ones I own outright, and then again, I have invested in a real estate partnership, but that was like a 18-month investment and we cashed out on that already. So yeah, this is how I think about real estate partnerships. And yeah, you're owning a legal piece of property, you're binding 2 people's finances, you're applying for a mortgage together. So whoever you're in partnership with, you just want to make sure that they are financially sound. They got to be financially sound. It can't just be, oh, they're a good friend. No, they need to be financially sound and match you or even be stronger than you in order to consider going into a real estate partnership, because this is going to be a 30-year plus partnership, right? Until that mortgage is paid off, it's going to be a long-term partnership. And you see siblings fight, even when somebody, family member transitions and now 3 siblings own the home, there's still debate, right, around, does somebody want to keep it? Are we going to sell it? What's the right price point to sell it? All these things come up because this stuff hasn't been documented and laid out and discussed in advance. And so I encourage you to get as much out on the table as you can. Perhaps you can't afford the down payment on that income property that you want, but when you bring 3 friends together, not friends, but 3 investors together, that it could work out. You just want to lay out all these things in advance. All right. So this is Jullien Gordon with another episode of the Daily Jewels. I hope this one has blessed you. Partnerships are powerful, especially if one individual doesn't have enough to buy the property on their own or will feel too leveraged. And I believe that we are better together. And so to create wealth together will actually bring you closer together. When we figure out how to make money together, we'll see each other more. That's just the real. All right. So with that, I want to thank you so much, and I will catch you in the next episode. Peace. I hope these mindsets, metaphors, and methodologies blessed you. If you desire more freedom, go to getfreenow.com to subscribe to the show on iTunes, YouTube, or Facebook, and get 4 of my best courses in the Freedom School for 100% free.